May 31st, 1223. On the banks of the Kalka River in what is now Ukraine, 80,000 Rus, princes and Cuman warriors are about to face 20,000 Mongol horsemen who just rode 5,500 miles across 2 continents. The Ruses have every advantage: superior numbers, home territory, allied forces stretching across multiple principalities. They're so confident that Prince Mstislav of Kiev executes the Mongol peace envoys and sets out to trap the invaders from 3 directions simultaneously. 9 days later, only 1 in 10 Rus's soldiers will make it home alive. Prince Mstislav of Kiev will be suffocated under a wooden platform while Mongol generals feast on top of his dying body. The flower of Kievan Rus's nobility will be scattered across the steppe, and 2 Mongol generals will complete history's longest cavalry raid, having conquered everything in their path. This is the Battle of Kalka River, where medieval Russia learned that the rules of warfare had changed, where executing ambassadors turned out to be a fatal mistake, and where 20,000 Mongols destroyed an army 4 times their size in an afternoon of perfect tactical brutality. Let me set the stage for this disaster. Jebe and Subutai, 2 of Genghis Khan's most brilliant generals, had just finished annihilating the Khwarezmian Empire. Instead of returning home, they asked permission to keep conquering for a few years. Genghis said yes. What followed was the most audacious military expedition in history. They rode through Persia, sacked cities from Azerbaijan to Iraq, and turned north into the Caucasus with 20,000 men, leaving a trail of burning cities behind them. They crossed the Caucasus Mountains in winter, abandoning their siege engines and losing hundreds to the cold, but they made it through. On the other side, they faced a massive coalition: the Alans, Lezgians, Cherkesses, and most importantly the Cumans, a powerful Turkic people whose territory stretched from Central Asia to the Black Sea together. This alliance fielded 50,000 men. The Mongols were outnumbered and exhausted, so they did what Mongols do best: they lied. The Mongols reminded the Cumans of their shared Turkic heritage. "Why fight your cousins?" they asked. "We only want the Caucasian tribes. Help us, and we'll share the plunder." The Cumans believed them and abandoned the alliance. The Mongols immediately slaughtered the Caucasian coalition, then turned on the Cumans and destroyed them too, executing every prisoner. It was a masterclass in psychological warfare. "Trust us, then die." The surviving Cumans fled northwest, and Khan Kutan ran straight to his son-in-law, Prince Mstislav, the Bold of Galicia. His warning was prophetic. "Today the Mongols have taken our land, and tomorrow they will take yours." For almost a year, the Ruses ignored him. They'd been raiding Cuman territory for decades. Why help them now? Then scouts reported Mongol cavalry advancing along the Dniester River, and suddenly the Ruses' princes were very interested, and Mstislav the Bold assembled a coalition. Multiple principalities answered the call: Kiev, Chernigov, Galicia, Volhynia, Kursk, Smolensk. The Cumans joined with their remaining cavalry together. They fielded a force modern historians estimate between 15,000 and 80,000 men. Even taking the most conservative estimates, they heavily outnumbered the 20,000 Mongols. The Mongols were on the east side of the Dnieper River, waiting for reinforcements from Yoki, Genghis Khan's eldest son. But Yoki had fallen ill. No reinforcements were coming. The Mongols were alone, deep in enemy territory, facing a massive coalition army. They should have retreated instead. Jebe sent 10 ambassadors to Kiev with a simple message: "We have no quarrel with you. We're only punishing the Cumans. We're already marching east, away from your cities." Mstislav of Kiev had the ambassadors executed. Every single one. The Mongols sent another delegation, and this time the message was different. "You have chosen war." The hunt was on, except the Mongols weren't the prey, they were the bait. When Jebe and Subutai learned the Ruses were mobilizing, they began moving east, which was exactly what they'd promised. But they left behind a rearguard of 1,000 men under an officer named Hammerbek. His job was simple: let the Ruses find you, then die slowly. Mstislav the Bold reached the river first and saw the Mongol rearguard on the opposite bank. Here's where things went wrong for the Rus. No supreme commander had been appointed. Every prince could do whatever he wanted. Mstislav crossed under heavy arrow fire without waiting for the others. When his forces landed, their numbers overwhelmed the Mongols, and Hammerbek's men were killed to the last man. The Rus thought they'd won a great victory. They'd just taken the bait. For 9 days, the Mongols retreated east. The Ruses pursued, spreading out across the steppe, exhausting themselves, losing formation. Then on May 31st, the Mongols stopped at the Kalka River, turned around, and formed battle lines. The trap was set. The coalition army was still crossing the river when the Mongols attacked. The chronicles report that the Cumans broke and ran without even fighting, fleeing back through the Ruses' ranks and causing mass confusion. The Mongols transitioned from horse archer fire to massed cavalry charges so fast that most of the Rus' army never even reached the battlefield before the front ranks were dissolving. The armies of Volhynia and Kursk opened gaps in their lines to let the fleeing Cumans through. Mongol heavy cavalry charged straight through those gaps and enveloped them. The army of Chernigov was advancing when they collided head-on with the retreating Cumans. The Mongols used smoke bombs to create chaos and attacked through the confusion. Prince Mstislav of Chernigov died in the collapse. The Mongol wings closed around the shattered army, cutting off retreat. Volley after volley of arrows hit the surrounded Rus' forces, accompanied by cavalry charges at any weakness. Some soldiers, led by Mstislav the Bold, managed to cut through the Mongol lines and escape. Most weren't so lucky. Mstislav of Kiev arrived to see his coalition fleeing in terror. With his contingent of 10,000 men, he retreated to a fortified camp on a hill by the Dnieper. The Mongols besieged it for 3 days. Then they offered terms: surrender, and you'll be spared, no blood will be shed. Mstislav, exhausted and surrounded, accepted. The Mongols kept their promise. Technically, they didn't shed noble blood. Instead, they laid the Rus' princes on the ground, placed wooden boards over them, and built their victory feast platform on top. Mstislav of Kiev and his nobles were crushed and suffocated while Mongol generals ate and drank above their dying bodies. It was the traditional Mongol execution for royalty, death without spilling blood. The battle was a catastrophe. Modern estimates suggest up to 70,000 killed, wounded, or captured. Only 1 in 10 Rus' soldiers made it home. The Mongols had minimal losses. Meanwhile, Mstislav the Bold reached the western bank of the Dnieper and destroyed every boat he could find to prevent pursuit. The Mongols didn't stay to conquer. They rode east, plundering as they went, and eventually rejoined Genghis Khan near the Syr River. They'd completed a 5,500-mile cavalry raid across 2 continents in 3 years, defeated every army they encountered, and left spies throughout Rus' to report on European affairs. 14 years later, in 1237, Subutai returned with 120,000 men and conquered all of Kievan Rus'. The Mongols had given them a warning at Kalka River. The Rus just didn't listen.